Dividends can be amazing in retirement because you can fully live off of them, right? Well, you've probably seen an article that says do not retire until you know that you can comfortably live off of dividends for the rest of your life. I don't agree with that, but I do agree dividends can play a very important role in retirement, and I'm going to explain why in today's video. I'm a financial planner and I help people retire early. Well, what is a dividend? A dividend is a company saying, thank you so much for owning this company. We're going to pay you a dividend. So when you are early in your career, owning dividend companies is not bad, but at the end of the day, what you care about is not just dividend, but what's the total return? What's the dividend plus the capital appreciation? Would you rather a company that's innovating pay you the dividend? Or would you rather have them say, you know what, as opposed to paying this dividend, we're going to reinvest it into our company so that we can yield a higher overall, or what we call total return. That's great, but now you are close to retirement going, great, Ari, I want to live off of these assets. I want dividends to fully replace my income, right? Don't retire until that happens, right? No. And here's what we're going to be talking about in today's video, which is dividends certainly play a role, but what too many people I find think that they need to be able to live off dividends, or until then they should not consider retiring. That's just not the case. Look at this basic example. Let's assume that you want $6,000 a month to live off of. That is your after-tax income adjusted for inflation. You want $6,000 a month to hit your bank account every month. Wonderful. Well, let's pretend all of that needs to come from your portfolio. There's no Social Security, we're not looking at taxes, just $6,000 a month. Well, if you take that and you divide that by 3%, what that tells me is you need a portfolio of $2.4 million in order to fully live off of dividends, assuming the dividends are paying 3%. Now, you probably just heard that and you're thinking, well, I don't have $2.4 million. Does that mean I can't retire? And the answer is no, because the reality is it's not likely that you only have a portfolio you're living off of. You either have Social Security, you have a pension, you have rental income, you have inheritance, you have other income sources that are going to help supplement that. So let's take a basic example and say that you and your partner, there's Social Security, and that is worth, let's say, $4,000 a month. So that means you want $6,000 a month, you have $4,000 a month, $2,000 a month, that's what needs to come from something else from your portfolio most likely. So now we need to generate $2,000 a month. What is the most effective way to do that, and how do we use dividends to do that? That's probably why you clicked on this video in the first place, and I'm going to reframe the way you think about dividends just a little bit. I think that you're probably already thinking about it this way, but I hope this resonates in a way you had not considered, which is, let's assume that you went with AT&T stock. Now I could choose any stock, but for the basis of this conversation, and I do call it a conversation because that really is what YouTube feels like now, because you guys are commenting and sending me messages and helping people retire. So thank you for everything that you guys are doing. With AT&T stock, they have a dividend of 6.2%. So if you want $2,000 a month to supplement the additional $4,000 a month from Social Security, we take that amount and we divide that by 0.062, which is the dividend of 6.2%. And that tells us that you would need $387,000 invested in AT&T stock so that you get your $2,000 every single month. Here's the thing though. What if AT&T stock cuts their dividend, which is a big risk, but the second risk, which is the bigger risk in my opinion, is concentration risk. Because what if they keep paying that dividend, but the value of AT&T stock goes down? The reality is we don't know if AT&T stock is going to go down, or you know what, it's Procter & Gamble or General Electric. We don't know, but what I don't want to have happen is that you go, great, I'm going to stick with a company with a really high dividend, and now all of a sudden I need to live off of this income and I don't have it. That is a major risk that most people face. And how do we avoid that? Well, we avoid that by avoiding the following. General Electric in 2000 was trading at $465 a share. As of this recording, it's at about $85 a share. So you can imagine if that you put $500,000 or $1 million all into General Electric, well, all of a sudden, you would not be sitting so pretty. So a big risk here is that although a company may be paying a healthy dividend, number one, they could cut that at any time. But number two is the fact that you have so much concentration in one company, and that company is dictating your ability to feed your income in retirement when it could be completely unnecessary. Now, if you just look at a basic example of a Schwab US dividend ETF. Now that ETF has a dividend yield of 3%. So if we take that 3% and we divide that by $2,000 a month, or the $24,000 that we are going to use to supplement our Social Security, that tells me that if you had $800,000 in that ETF, that would supplement your really retirement income and you don't have to worry. So you don't have to worry about one company doing really well or one company not doing so well because you own all of these different companies that collectively have this dividend of about 3%. But now you need $800,000 to fully live off of these dividends to supplement Social Security. The reality is you don't have to just live off of dividends. Some people think, do I just need dividends? That's how I'm going to replace my income. The reality is dividends plays a role, but it's not just dividends. There's something known as your withdrawal rate. Now that withdrawal rate means how much can you reasonably take from your portfolio and never run the risk of running out of money. Traditionally, people thought the 4% rule was how people were going to create this. And this was by Bill Bengen. And what he said is that if you have 50% of your overall portfolio in intermediate term US bonds, and another 50% in US large caps, that you could be rest assured that your money will last you for 30 plus years and you can take out 4% every single year. Well, that study's great, but there's a new study by John Guyton who said that if you don't just invest in those two asset classes, but you also add real estate passively, international companies, emerging markets, saying, hey, developing markets, small companies, small value, all these different types of companies, well, then the reality is it's not 4% that you can be rest assured to have for 30 years, but it's actually between 5 and 5.5% that assuming you follow certain investment guidelines, assuming that you follow certain investment really procedures and you have proper diversification, that you could be rest assured your money will last for 40 plus years. Assume you have $1 million. You could take out between $50,000 to $55,000 every single year and never run the risk of running out of money for 40 plus years versus this other study, which was not bad, but when it was done, it wasn't done with proper diversification and there weren't rules outlining how you withdraw the income. Is that from a brokerage account? Is that from an IRA account? Is it from a Roth IRA account? How do you take funds from it? What is the most effective way to do that? So the summary from this video is that yes, dividends plays a role, but you don't need to just live off of dividends. Meaning if you look at any article and it says you need to make sure you can fully live off dividends to retire, it's not the case. You do not have to. Dividends plays a role, but if you don't have 2.4 million, as I said in the first example, you may still be able to retire because you don't need that fully to come from your investments because you have other income sources. And you also know now that when it comes to creating that retirement portfolio, you have different options with the way that you invest, your overall tax strategy, the way you withdraw income, what account you pull from. There's a lot of factors to this, but when it comes to dividends, it's not just dividends you need to live off of. You can actually live off of the account going up in value and you don't run the risk of one company dictating your ability to retire or not. That's the risk I don't want you to have in your portfolio. I love to help people know when they're in a position to retire. If this has been helpful, please either reach out to me or a member of my team or share this video with a friend or family. It is more fun to travel with them. It is more fun to retire with them. So I hope this has been helpful. Please do like this video and make sure to subscribe to be notified of all future videos. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you don't know, I am the host of the Early Retirement Podcast, and this is what I love doing. I help people create a custom strategy to retire early. You can always reach out to me or a member of our team here at Root, and we would be happy to walk you through our planning process to show you how we can help you get more life out of your money.